Shalom, family. How's everybody doing? We've heard this in the news lately about Uganda. The president of Uganda signed a bill, that anti-gay bill, because it's not part of their culture, it's not part of their nature to have anything to do with the gay community or the LGBTQ uh, uh, mindset in their country. So he signed an anti-gay bill. And what happened was the World Bank, as we have heard lately, have frozen their accounts, and they're no longer going to be funding any type of financial backing to Uganda because they take a stance on protecting their people, protecting their culture. And so it's very sad. I don't normally get into um, news articles, putting videos together as far as politics. Um, but this really moved me to want to do this particular video here because, yeah, here it is here. World Bank freezes loans to Uganda because of anti-gay stance. World Bank, Reuters, halts new lending to Uganda over the anti-LGBTQ. So where I come on this is that it reminds me of, anytime a country wants to follow the Most High's laws and principles and commandments, that's a good thing. They do not want this anti behavior in their country. They're trying to protect their people. That's a good thing when you see that. You don't normally see that in countries where they're trying to look after the well being and the moral fiber of their people. It's usually the other way around. They let anything go, like what's going on in our country, in America. Anything goes. You can do anything you want to do. You can promote whatever immoral activity you want to do. It's even um, promoted on the TV, on the media, movies, videos, everything, music. But when a country like Uganda, Kenya, some others have stepped up and said, no, we do not want this behavior amongst our people, especially among our young people. I applaud that. And yet, while they do that, they get reprimanded and they get disciplined for doing so. It kind of reminds me of, you remember the prophet Jonah. Remember the prophet Jonah? He was told by the Most High to go to the great city of Nineveh. He said, arise, go to Nineveh there in Jonah chapter 3, verses 2 through 10. He told him to go to the great city and to preach to it the message that I tell you, he said. And so Jonah, he arose and he went to Nineveh according to the word of the Lord. And Nineveh, as it says, was an exceedingly great city. And so Jonah, he got there, he began to enter into the city. This was after he had already been swallowed by the great fish, and the great fish, you know, threw him up on dry land there. And so the Most High gave Jonah another chance. He said, go back. I still want to use you. And so Jonah, this time, he followed through. So he went back to the great city, and he started crying out and telling the people of Nineveh, yet 40 days, and Nineveh shall be overthrown. And so what happened? Well, as we read on in this account, we go down to verse 9 and 10. Uh, the king of Nineveh, actually in verse 6 there and 7, it talks about then the word came to the king of Nineveh, and he arose from his throne and laid aside his robe. It said he covered himself with sackcloth, and he sat in ashes. And he caused it to be proclaimed and published throughout Nineveh by the decree of the king and his nobles, saying, and as we read on there, they wanted all the people to be covered in sackcloth, to cry out, to pray, to supplicate to Jonah's God that that they could repent from this, turn away the anger of the Most High so that they would not perish. And then as in verse 10 says that then God saw their works, that they turned from their evil way, and God relented from the disaster that he has said he would bring upon them. And he did not do it. So what I heard in the news again about Uganda and other different African countries that are following this same stance, I applaud that because it reminded me of what Nineveh did. They actually repented and they turned away from their evil ways and they pleased the Most High God. They listened to the message of Jonah, and that's a wonderful thing. And that is something that can still be done today before that great day comes, the great day of the Almighty comes at Armageddon, where there will be a reckoning among the nations. And these nations that are not going to follow the Most High and the Hamashiach, who is the rightful king, by the way, of the whole world right now, but they're just waiting because they know that the time is short of these kings and these kingdoms and these queens. They will be gone soon. And so, but there is time for these nations. If any of them want to change their ways, just like Nineveh, they can do that and actually survive Armageddon. And who knows, maybe there will be a country or two that will actually do that. But to punish, to punish Uganda because of their stance, it's a very sad thing. And here, there's the city of Nineveh, the great city there, with all the badness that was going on there, but they repented and they turned to the true God, listened to his message, to listen through Jonah there, and they repented of their evil ways, and so they were saved. And so the people in Uganda, here's a picture of the speech and debate team. They were champions in 2022. Look at that. Wonderful. They don't want that in their country. And the government is looking out for them, making sure that they don't have this. Here's a picture of a high school team of high school class of all these young Ugandans, bright future ahead. They want the best for them. They don't want them to get sucked up into the vices that we see in the West and so forth. So this is a very good thing. But like I said, it's sad that they get punished for this. It reminds me of what is stated in Revelation chapter 13, that it talks about there in verse 11. He saw there another wild beast ascending out of the earth, and it had two horns like a lamb, but it began speaking like a dragon. And then in verse 16, notice it says here, it puts under compulsion all people, the small and the great, the rich and the poor, the free and the slaves, that these should be marked on their right hand or on their forehead, and that nobody can buy or sell except a person having the mark, the name of the wild beast, or the number of its name. And see, that's just not right. And so we know that the time will come when these people will be done away with, these nations will be destroyed in the day of judgment when the Most High comes through the Hamashiach, Yeshua, or Jesus, however way, whatever language you speak, however way you pronounce the name, it's all going to be good. And so let us be aware that the mark of the wild beast, the Anglo-American world power, that's who that two horn is. It's the Anglo-American world power, Britain,